It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. You know, I could start with hello or welcome. Take your choice. Gary, let's do this Tuesday thing. How are you?
Why not?
Why not?
Wow, a week from today, it will be Christmas Eve.
It will be.
All right. Yeah.
And all through the house.
Not a creature was stirring.
Yeah. Not even AOC.
I was going to say, I was going to go with Biden, except for Biden. You know, it's interesting because we read the story yesterday about, I think it was thehill.com, talking about, well, Democrats may be changing, and then Democrats may want to, support Trump in some areas, and they really didn't get into too many specifics.
Yeah.
And there's Biden out there trying to do everything he possibly can to sabotage the incoming Trump administration, auctioning off the wall stuff. And by the way, Trump addressed that yesterday. Signing the deals so tens of thousands of federal workers can work at home. You know, just a blanket work at home thing. And Trump's like, sorry, we're going to fire you if you do that. We're going to get that thing reversed. But he's trying to do everything to sabotage. Think about this. Biden's trying to do everything to make the government less efficient. But that isn't surprising since everything that he did when he was in office was to harm the United States of America.
Yeah.
When you see what he did with Iran by allowing the oil money to go back when Trump had stopped that, when you see what he did at the border.
Yep.
He didn't give a damn. The things that he did hurt the United States of America, and now he's, hey, let's continue it. Let's just go right out doing the exact same thing, making government work against the citizens of the United States.
Well, and set Trump up he thinks he's going to set Trump up to fail. But the fact of the matter is all this is reversible, the step that he's doing. This is all reversible. Now, the whole auctioning off the pieces of the wall that haven't been used yet, this is just bizarre behavior. And this is another reason why the Democrats want him gone. There's another month of this. And he can, he's going to continue doing this. Set everything on fire. He never cared about his own legacy. He doesn't care about the legacy of the party that he belongs to.
The one thing about the union thing might not be reversible because that was a union agreement. So he signed basically an agreement between the union and, so union rules and union law might protect that. That's the difference there. And this is why we were so furious and just went, what the hell is Trump doing with his Labor Department nominee who wants unions in every level of government, from your town to city to state to the federal government? That's what makes that one. And I did see a couple of conservatives over the weekend. You saw it on social media saying, what the hell was he doing with that? All of a sudden it's coming out where people are going, why the hell did Trump pick her?
Right. Yeah.
And you see it right here, and this is an example. But that's the thing about that. I mean, that wasn't an executive order. He signed, I guess, he signed off on the deal from what I get between the federal government and the union. So it might be reversible. I don't know. I don't know what the union laws.
I would have to. I'm guessing it is reversible. I don't know what it would take to reverse it.
Because this is the Social Security Administration, and more than 40,000 workers represented by the American Federation of Government Employees Union reached a deal earlier this month that would allow most of the employees to continue working remotely 2 to 5 days per week. And so that's a union deal. Now, whether that's actually a union contract or outside of the contract and an addendum to the, that isn't the same as the contract, negotiated contract for pay and whatever, that's what I don't know.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's reversible. I just don't know. I just don't know the details. We'll see. We'll see if it is.
It's just amazing. Biden trying to do everything, throwing roadblocks.
One thing that you can't stop Trump from doing, and that's laying off government employees.
Well, that's true.
Whether they have a contract or not, layoffs.
Right.
All right, it's not efficient. We're going to pare it down. We're going to start paring it down until the union begs for forgiveness and says, let us work a new deal. And this is how you have to do it. Look, it's ridiculous that Joe Biden has set the place on fire. Democrats know this. They want him gone. They're afraid he's going to ruin their chances for decades to come with the stuff he's doing. Think about this. Selling pieces of the border wall at auction. That is a lame, childish move that is right out of the Joe Biden playbook.
Yep.
And now Joe Biden doesn't even care about even trying to pretend to anyone that he cares about the border, he cares about national security, or anything else. He never did. But he would go out of his way every once in a while and pretend like he did. Now he doesn't even care. Burn it all, sell it all. I mean, according to the reports, they're practically giving these pieces of the wall away. I was expecting Elon Musk to come up over the weekend going, nah, it's all right. I'll be at the auction.
Well, Texas said they're going to buy it.
Yep.
And then use it for their portion of the border wall that the federal government under Trump won't object to.
Exactly. Right.
So we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, it's like just do everything, burn it down.
Yep.
And that's the interesting thing that, and they did use it. Trump did use it at, the end of the campaign. And we had said they should have been using it for the last year, which, look, they can't solve the problem because they created it. And that was the difference. When we look back here, and I guess this, I keep forgetting this is the last week that we're on the air this year.
I know.
But when you look at it, that was something that hasn't been talked about enough.
Right.
When Democrats, if you're looking for an autopsy, this is something that you should, consider. This wasn't a case where the American people looked at it and said, we have these basically organic problems. Like we all have problems in our life, things that come up that we have to solve.
Yeah.
But the difference here is all the problems that we have in the United States right now was created. All the major problems we have were created by the people that we put into elective office to solve those problems. Mm-hmm. They created them and made them worse.
Yeah.
The border was a creation of Joe Biden.
Yeah.
The promotion of anti-Semitism is a creation of the Democrats.
Yep.
I mean, not that they created anti-Semitism, but what you're seeing in this country right now is something that they create and support. They want that. And they enabled that. They helped to not just enable, but create it with the funding, ensuring that Iran had the funding from their oil profits that Trump stopped. Biden immediately reversed it. They got this money. Mm-hmm. They give it to their surrogates who attack Israel and attack U.S. interest all over the country or all over the world. And so Biden's saying, at the same point, well, okay, we need to help Israel in some ways, as he's ensuring that both sides get some type of funding, but he's still not happy and wants less funding for Israel.
Right.
I mean, the things going on here are just bizarre. Inflation was caused by the government. Any Democrat out there, I don't care who you are, if you believe that corporations caused inflation, you are as clueless as a rock. You have no idea how economics runs. None. Shut up because you don't have a clue. Inflation that we have seen because you're always going to have inflation to some manner, and that's why they try to keep it under 2%. All long-term inflation, which we have had, all of it, is caused by government. End of story.
Yeah. Yep.
And Biden was warned about it. Who warned him? Obama people warned him. Don't do this. He did it anyway. And that's the difference. You have a Democrat Party right now, and if you're doing your autopsy, you better listen to us, because you and I have been, we've been playing the Democrats over the last month, and everything they say is what we have told you over the last couple of years.
Right.
It's like, oh, whoa, we just thought you guys were being partisan. No, we're telling you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing when you wrap up, if you want the autopsy, you got a damn political party that creates problems, doesn't solve anything, and actually creates the problems and works against the best interest of the people of the United States constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, you want a perfect example? The people screaming at Chicago City Hall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Why are you making the problem worse? Why are you supporting the illegal immigrants? Why are you supporting the migrants? What about us? You're taxing us for this. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Because they wish to make the problem worse. They want to make your life harder.
And, it's frustrating when we hear someone in the GOP, Josh Hawley, pushing now for an extended child tax credit.
I saw that yesterday.
And under his plan, it would include the year that you're pregnant with the child.
But you can take that another example of why it's going to be so hard to cut.
Well,
I mentioned Pete Sessions the other day where Pete Sessions goes, I can't support what the Republicans are doing. He's a Republican. I can't support what the Republicans are doing because they're not giving enough money to farmers. And I went, There you go. Josh Hawley, we need to expand and give cash to more people.
Well, and, Mike Lee and Marco Rubio were two in the Senate that really pushed it to expand the fully refundable child tax credit several years ago. So we talked about it the other day, trying to get the Democrats, one or two Democrats to go along with you. No, you're going to battle with your own party, with the GOP. I don't know, actually. I'm not sure where Trump will be on something like the Hawley bill. I don't know. Because where's the pushback on that, right? People go, oh, we shouldn't be spending money, because even Hawley posted the Axios story. So he's not contesting anything in the Axios story about how, and we'll tell you later why it matters. But it says, $2 to $3 trillion over 10 years is what it would cost.
Yeah. And so the point is, when you have we're going to cut, yay, Republicans, we're going to cut. And now you start seeing it just this week.
Yeah.
With Pete Sessions, Josh Hawley.
Yep.
No, spend more. The problem is not going to be Democrats. The problem is going to be Republicans getting on board.
Right.
That's why.
And the spending, the Department of Government Efficiency, but across the hall, RFK Jr. And, across town, Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
Good luck, but it's not going to happen.
Yep.
We said it from the beginning. It's a good public awareness campaign, but as long as you have things like that, think about that, the child tax credit, including the year, I don't think it would go through. But this is the idea being proposed by Josh Hawley, a member of the GOP. You would get a tax credit after a child is born. Hawley is proposing to let parents claim a credit for the tax year of the pregnancy. Well, what about the years of planning the pregnancy? Where do we want to draw the line? This is Axios points out that it is not a credit because it is, I mean, they don't say it that way, but they say this includes families who don't pay any income tax, which we know have talked about for a long time. This is welfare.
Yeah, it's welfare.
Call it
hidden in
welfare.
the tax system.
Josh Hawley, call it welfare.
Right.
And put it in.
Yep.
See where it goes. We're giving welfare to people because they have children.
And that's why, again, when we, with the DOGE and all the hype and hoopla, we're like, okay, let's temper this down a little bit because now you're going to see what's happening. Like I said, when Pete Sessions came out this week, I can't support this budget because there isn't enough money. There isn't money for farmers. We need more money for farmers. I went, there you go.
Right.
There's problem number one. And then Josh Hawley yesterday, the first thing I thought of when I saw that was, okay, here we go. Trillions now more of new spending because that isn't a tax break. That's cash that goes to people.
Exactly.
If you don't pay taxes, that's actual cash that goes to you.
Right. If we're going to do this, Josh Hawley, then in that bill, I want to lower the labor laws to the age of 5 so 5-year-olds could start working and paying taxes. Merry Christmas.
That's the problem that you're going to have. As we said, and people, I got a few minutes. Republicans aren't going to be the problem. Yeah, Republicans are going to be the problem. They're going to want to spend.
No, it's like a party. Everybody's still at the party going, hey, listen to me. Child tax credit, even for the year that you're pregnant.
Well, we live in the bubble of today. You and I have been covering politics. We know how it works when it comes to spending. And it's like, oh, Republicans are going to go, yeah, just give it $2 trillion of spending. Yeah, everybody's on board. We're like, no, they're not.
No, they're not.
Well, no, I'm aboard, but not for what I want.
Exactly. Right.
866-90-RED-EYE.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. Electrical systems are one of the most common causes of winter breakdowns. So when your batteries talk, it's important you listen. Know the warning signs that could indicate your electrical system needs attention to help avoid getting stuck out in the cold this winter. Keep an eye out for lights that are dim, as this is an early warning sign that your alternator is degrading and near the end of its life cycle. Lights that are brighter than normal, on the other hand, can indicate your alternator is overcharging. You should immediately get a full electrical system check if you notice either of these warning signs.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Yeah, so all we're trying to do is put some perspective on all of this because there's been so much hype and hoopla about the Department of Government Efficiency, and it's like, okay, it's like they're doing this on one side, we're going to cut $2 trillion off the budget, and the other side is if it's not even related, all right, but we're going to add this, we want to do this, we want to do this, we want to do this, and you're like, well, but that all adds money. So it's not that you take out $2 trillion over here and add $1.5 trillion over here. Yeah. You got to take out $2 trillion completely. That's what you're trying to sell us. Don't sell us that you're trying to take out $2 trillion and then over here say, but we're going to add this, and this.
Right.
And remember, it's quite aggressive what they want to do. And we are at the point now where, because I know, the thing will be, well, if you want to balance the budget, you need to expand the economy. We're at the point where you cannot expand the economy enough to raise the revenue for what we're spending.
Right.
We might have been there. You could have said that probably 20 years ago, 25. You can't say that now. With the debt that we have, you've got to do both. You've got to expand the economy and you've got to cut.
Yep. And nobody's talking about real cuts outside of the Department of Government Efficiency, which, again, is more of kind of like a unofficial watchdog.
Yep.
With no authority.
Merry Christmas to you and yours from all of us here at Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and maybe we should call it Red and Green. Red and Green.
Red and green.
Red and Green.
Eye
Radio. Yes,
We think Troy Aikman is endorsing the show. Did you see the story about his eyes have been really red and on the Monday Night Football broadcast? I just saw the story. I don't watch Monday Night Football.
No.
But the picture, he looks like he's suffering from allergies is what it looks like, or maybe a cold. I don't know if he sounded like that. I only saw a still shot. But his eyes are puffy and red, and I'm going to just go with he's endorsing Red Eye Radio in a roundabout way. Thank you, Troy.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I had a horrible head cold that's finally going away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I mean, I'm probably at about 90% right now. But, man, it was bad over the weekend. Just, oh.
Yeah, my voice hasn't 100% completely recovered. My wife had a suggestion that I stop talking.
I made my banana bread.
You did?
Yeah.
My wife made some.
But
yeah.
only a few loaves. So
Okay.
Just for one friend of mine and her
Yeah.
husband. When I got up to 40 loaves back in 2019.
Yeah.
COVID came along, and it's just like, wasn't going to send banana bread.
Right.
But it's doable now. All I did half of October, November, all of November and December was make banana bread. And every single day I'm like, I can't do this anymore. If I was retired, maybe.
Yeah.
But everything's looking forward to getting a couple of days off, seeing Dad again, having Christmas Eve breakfast with Dad and the family next week, as we always do at our little place Marty's in Clarence Center, New York. That will be a lot of fun.
The house is going to be quiet. We don't really have on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, not a lot going on. We're going to do our movie night, Christmas night. My oldest daughter and I will watch a traditional Christmas movie.
Stop it.
We're going to watch John Wick 4. We watched 2 and 3 last year.
I have a movie suggestion. Again, I suggest it every year because it never did anything at the box office.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was like 1990. It's called 29th Street. You can get it for free on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
Oh, is it Anthony? Is it Anthony LaPaglia?
Yeah.
LaPaglia?
Yeah.
Danny Aiello?
Yeah.
I think it's Danny Aiello's greatest role in any movie. And I'll give you a little background. It's the story of the first New York State Lottery winner.
Okay.
Now, there's, they add to, not everything is true. It's based on a story.
Okay.
But it's a great, great story. I will just say this though. They refer to it. I mean, I think Danny Aiello referred to it and the directors or whatever as an Italian, It's a Wonderful Life. And there's lots of cursing in it.
Okay.
But if you take the curse, so it's an adult movie, it's not a kids movie.
Not for kids, yeah.
But when I suggested it last year, I got a ton of people that said, "Whoa, thank you so much. It was really, really a good movie. It is entertaining as anything out there.
Yeah.
I can't believe it didn't do anything at the box office. I just, for
sometimes it's just the timing, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be that there's a monster movie in its way. Sometimes there's, a news event actually that will, just make the box office irrelevant, for maybe a period of days or weeks even. And, so COVID, 9/11, things like that, that have affected box office. And somebody did an article of the number of movies, good movies out there that kind of ran into, something, one thing or another. Usually it's competition, like a, massive superhero movie or something. And now what I love is, If the audience testing doesn't come back, the studio will sell it to Amazon or Netflix. It goes that route on distribution. Because eventually it's going to be, someone said, one actor years ago said, I don't do television movies. Well, eventually they're all television movies.
I don't do television.
Yeah.
I'm setting a standard now.
I don't do, and now they're like, I'll do any work, whatever work you got. But, you look at those things, and it's just kind of interesting how things affect the box. And sometimes it's also hard to get a 1 or 2 minute trailer to really capture the essence of the movie, the entire, the entire storytelling of the movie. And so,
it's about a guy who his curse is he always has good luck. And it's his curse. But at the end, you will die laughing. Some of the scenes between Danny Aiello and his son, and what are you going to be when you grow up? I'd like to be an astronaut. Is there something wrong with you?
I love movies like that.
But at the end of it,
yeah.
You're just like, it's a great, and the last scene is sort of, reminiscent of, It's a Wonderful Life,
right?
Because they're all inside the house and the
right, yeah.
Neighbors and everybody's there to help them in a certain way.
Yeah, right.
But I don't want to give it away. But if you want to watch it, it's a movie that you'll watch it and go, okay, that was good. And I can't believe it did nothing at the box office. I saw an interview, or I listened to listened to an interview on YouTube the other day about it. They talked about the fact that, and I have a copy of it, a DVD. I don't know where I ever got it from, but now it's on YouTube. You can get it, and the quality is great on YouTube.
Good.
But they were talking about how it wasn't available anywhere. The interview I saw was about 4 years ago, and I don't think it was on YouTube yet. And they were just like, he goes, I can't believe it. He goes, I can't believe they wouldn't redo this because everywhere it tested incredible. The testing of it and the critics' reviews were awesome, and it just laid an egg.
Yeah.
And when I first saw it, and I can't remember how I first saw it, but when I did, I went, what a great movie.
Well, yeah, the thing is that sometimes there's a trend of like all the Marvel movies. It seemed like there was just one coming out every year of whatever characters, and they were all crushing it. They were all making $1 billion, And if you weren't doing that, you weren't part of the trend. Any other kind of movie wasn't doing well. And then it got into the message movies, the woke stuff, here lately. But there's always been that trend of, okay, there's something huge, and it's almost as if, well, that's what people are going to go see. They're not going to go see any other movie, just that one movie, which really isn't the case if you're an avid moviegoer, But for whatever reason, it just doesn't catch fire. It doesn't, it's Shawshank Redemption, one of those movies. Yeah. That's a stop-down movie now, but wasn't the greatest at the box office performance-wise.
I watched a couple of things on YouTube over the last week, and I just love stuff that comes up in shuffle because both these came up in shuffle, and it was basically one of the Comic-Cons last year. I think it was in Detroit, and it was Peter Billingsley. It was Zach. I can't think of his name. Scott Farkas.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All the kids, and I know it probably had to do with when they came out with the Christmas Story, whatever it was. It wasn't a Christmas Story 2. It was I forgot what they called it, but it was, when Ralphie is an adult, they came out with this. It was okay. It was okay. It fit as a good ending. You saw Ralphie as an adult. But they were all, and then I watched another podcast that was done here in the last year, and they just said, greatest gift you could ever imagine, because nobody thought that movie was going to do anything, and it didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And then TBS started playing it.
Boom.
And he said, it's just, he said, they can't go anywhere. He goes, we can't go anywhere without somebody recognizing us. He said, but everyone to a T, none of them, well, does it bother you at all? He goes, are you kidding me? Everywhere we go, people are happy. They smile. How could it possibly affect you? And they talked about, did they ever go to the original house in Cleveland that's now a museum? And two of them did. The kid who played the Scott Farkas actor, and then Flick. Flick. And they said they came out of the house, they said, and you couldn't see the street. There were so many people.
Yeah.
It actually scared them when they opened that house, the Christmas Story house. They couldn't believe the number of people that were there. But and so you just don't know. But it's got to be great because none of them became millionaires off that movie.
Right.
But it's lasted them their entire life. They will go to their grave being known for that movie that put smiles on every person's face who's ever seen it.
Well, for me, growing up, Darren McGavin was the Night Stalker.
Yeah.
Yes. Until that movie.
Yes, you're right.
And then it just reinvented him completely.
You're right. You're right. It did.
And which I loved The Night Stalker. I just thought that was just a great show. I just loved that show.
I actually watched an episode of it. It was on MeTV or Antenna TV or something here in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And I went, wow,
he was
Night Stalker.
Perfect. Yeah. He was great for it. And he was great as the dad.
Oh.
But that, his role in A Christmas Story is really what cemented his legacy. That's what, he just reinvented himself because I can only imagine that, you get stuck you get stuck in the typecast thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're cast in that movie as the dad.
Oh, and them talking about the ad lib of swearing without swearing.
Yeah.
And Peter Billingsley, when he was in the fight, was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And he goes, the script was I had to curse without cursing.
Without cursing.
And he goes, these words didn't make any sense.
Right.
That's what we did. He's saying,
yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because that was the hardest thing to remember those lines because they didn't make any sense. They weren't actual words.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh.
It's one of the great scenes.
And
many great scenes.
And then Billingsley has had great successes.
Oh, yeah.
Director and
just
and then his because he's teamed up with Vince Vaughn and our friend I got mind blank here.
Oh, Steve
Byrne, the comedian Steve Byrne. I mean, they've done a number of projects together.
Yeah.
So and we mentioned Steve Byrne because he's the only guest we've ever had on the show.
Yeah, he's the only especially regular guest.
Yeah, because he was on a couple of times. Yeah.
In terms of in studio. I mean, he brought the cast in the one time, but he's been in, after that. But, Billingsley, director, producer, and doing all kinds of work. Iron Man 2.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. He's
had a small role in that, too. So,
yeah, he's done a ton of stuff. And there was another, he was an Elf.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Right.
I didn't know he was an elf.
Yeah.
You didn't recognize him.
Right. Yeah.
But I think Jon Favreau put him in Elf.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Right.
But
I've got this theory. I think Peter Billingsley, the late Phil Donahue, and the singer Michael McDonald are all related. Go look at the photos online. They all have the same, it's the same glasses and blue eyes. And, I'm like, man, they got to be related. They got to be related.
And does Peter Billingsley wear, because he wears the glasses, he looks he's
exactly,
he's 55 or something, looks exactly like he did as a kid.
Right.
And you're like, does he wear those glasses on purpose? Could he just wear contacts?
Dude, you're trying to get recognized.
It's not hard with that face.
Right.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio. It's
Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carney, and I'm Gary McNamara. This week we'll be taking a look at this past year, and something to mention coming up following the top of the hour on what I think is one of the most important things that happened this year. Plus, also coming up the president-elect. I almost said the president. The president-elect. Okay, what the heck? He's the president now.
Biden's not really a president, let's face it.
Trump spoke yesterday. You can tell he's learned a lot, hasn't he?
He really has. I think there's been a series of reckonings by the former president and now future president, and quite frankly, current president. He's the only one that looks presidential. But there has been, and I think it comes from everything that has happened and been thrown at him. And also the 2 attempted assassinations. I can't imagine what that was like on that day when he was on the ground.
Plus chaos in Canada right now.
Yeah.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Changing the name of the band. We're no longer the New Jersey Drones and the Mothership. We are the East Coast Drones. That's a cooler name.
Yeah. The New Jersey gives it like a Bon Jovi or the Boss kind of imagery.
East Coast Drones. ECD. All the ECD fans out there.
Okay, I like that, ECD. Okay.
Yeah. It's going to be just bare bones metal, hard rock.
Okay.
If AC/DC and Iron Maiden were, mixed together, it would be that and a touch of early Sabbath with some Judas Priest mixed in. Kind of our own thing.
It was interesting because you saw over the last couple of days, it was, the drones are the United States government, looking for dirty bomb.
Right, yeah.
And then that was debunked very quickly, saying they can do that from the ground better.
Yeah.
So, it's debunked on social media. Nothing has been official on any of this.
Right. I mean, and it's often somebody, that's in the case of like the drone company CEO said, if I was, if you ask me, they're probably looking for, have the drones smelling. They're not actually capable of smelling, but detecting certain things that would be dangerous, including dirty bombs or something like that. But again, the problem with it all is I can't discount anything that is going on online or anything anybody says because I don't trust one thing that this administration says. Kirby, again, it's just.
Well, he says it's nothing, then it must be something.
Exactly.
Because all they do is lie.
Exactly.
And that, by the way, that's no.
That's not hyperbole.
Well, no, but that's also no way to get to the truth.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're simply saying, well, I can't believe anything you say, which leaves open all the other possibilities, which means I have no idea what's going on.
Right.
Meanwhile, in Canada, Justin Trudeau in trouble. I don't see how he makes it through January. They could not have a vote, from what I know, a no confidence vote to remove him until at least January. But his in Canada right now, the finance minister quit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And said it was because Freeland quit on Monday. This is from the Daily Mail UK. Freeland quit on Monday after clashing with Trudeau on issues including how to handle possible U.S. tariffs. And you're going, what? No, what it's really over is spending.
Yeah.
Their spending is through the roof. They don't have the numbers yet, but they believe that spending far exceeds and the debt what they thought it was going to be. Now, if tariffs are issued by the United States and they retaliate, that'll slow down the economy. That's what worried the finance minister, as Trudeau was saying, let's spend a lot more and borrow a lot more.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm guessing it's probably easier, instead of taking responsibility at the spending itself, to say, oh, okay, let's blame Trump.
Yeah.
Not that it won't have an effect. You know, we talk about things having an effect here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we have said is, you know, look, a lot of people, we know our listeners do, you know, we know you're paying attention to what's going on, but a lot of people who voted for Trump don't pay attention as much as you and I do.
Right. Yeah.
There are a lot of people out there that believe Trump is going to bring down prices.
Right.
You've got the Fed now where they believe they're going to make another rate cut as inflation's going in the wrong direction. That's another challenge the administration's going to have to face. Because if the economy picks up, that means, and inflation is not under control, that means inflation picks up. And if inflation picks up, remember, even if it's only 3%, it's 3% on top of everything. And there's a significant portion of people that said we need to put Republicans in there because they will lower prices. Now, Trump even said last week, I won't be able to lower the prices.
Right.
Well, he was never going to be able to. Well, he was talking specifically about grocery prices.
Right.
I won't be able to lower them. You know, we can moderate it, but as you and I've said since the very beginning, the problem with inflation like this, you never go back to what it was.
No, I mean, it's a compounding effect, and it's always going to be, look, at best case scenario, if they hit the target rate, 2% higher than it was the previous year, and you have to go back and again, look at recent years, and that's a compounding effect, which means wherever the prices are now, on the average, 2% higher going forward each year. It's not going to come down. There's been no true deflation, and except for one time during the Great Depression. And so if it happens, it would happen for a really horrific reason. And nobody is expecting that to happen. So the only thing you can do, we've been talking about this for a long time, is you expand the economy. You expand people's wealth. Their buying power is increased by expanding wealth. Well, it just seems like every time we talk about this, there's something more that comes out that just, you know, gets in the way, right? Mm-hmm. Something else you have to, it's like you've got this huge to-do list to accomplish. And then, you know, and then the Department of Government Efficiency, and then Josh Hawley lobs out this $2 trillion, $3 trillion bill on child tax credits. What are you doing? By the way, the Axios story says he spoke with Trump and J.D. Vance, and according to Axios, and Josh Hawley posted the Axios story promoting it. So there's no, you know, he's not saying Axios is wrong about what I'm proposing or anything like that, just to be clear. And it says he worked with J.D. Vance on the amount of $5,000 being the child tax credit, which includes, if Hawley gets his way, a credit for the year that you're pregnant with a child. This is welfare. This is welfare to the tune of trillions of dollars over 10 years. Are we okay with that?
Well, or is the whole DOGE just a bunch of crap, you have to ask?
Right. Are they going to take that on?
Well, you have to ask the question. Does Elon Musk and Ramaswamy believe in it, but the incoming administration really doesn't.
Right.
Because there's no way you can look at it and say, we're going to cut $2 trillion off and then say, oh, let's have a $5,000 child tax credit that will increase spending by trillions of dollars over the next 10 years.
Well, if the Axios story is accurate, and J.D. Vance was part of the conversation on making it a $5,000 amount, I haven't heard anything from J.D. Vance on that, by the way. I haven't seen anything other than him being mentioned in that story from Axios. Well, it tells me then the transition team and the administration is on board for it. I haven't seen them contest it yet. They may. Maybe they come out and say, look, we like some things about it. We don't like other things about it. We do believe in, because Josh Hawley is saying America's working families need a tax break. That's how he's promoting it. And he posted the Axios story. So I don't know.
Well, the bottom, as we know, 50% don't pay any federal tax at all.
Oh, and by the way,
so that would be
speaking of which,
this would be a
yes.
You would get actual. This
is welfare, right?
Yeah, you would get money. The government would cut you a check.
And this would, again, if it survived, if it were to pass, Hawley's version would do away with the minimum $2,500 of income that you have to have, although you would have to be employed. So it would lower that. So other people like, I don't know, to me that's a gig worker maybe, part-time worker or something. I don't know, how that would work. But, and they point out in Axios, this applies to people who don't actually pay an income tax.
Right.
And it would also be, again, if it passed, it would be throughout the year. You would get your refunds throughout the year, not just at tax time. The thing is that you put that on the populist board, it's going to sail all day long. You're going to have families going, oh, yeah. Well, doesn't the government need to cut spending? Well, yeah, they do, but I like this.
Well, yeah, but if you got that passed, next year, and you're talking about, remember, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, another, $5,000 tax credit. You can expand the economy. For example, if you give, more corporate tax rates.
Yeah.
We're at the point now with the debt is so great, as I said earlier, you might have been able to do it 20, 25 years ago, mellow out the spending a little bit and the expansion of the economy would bring in more revenue. But as we know, it really has never balanced like that because the government keeps spending money. And this would be spending a significant amount of money because this isn't just a tax break. This is cash, which goes back, cash that the many people did not earn. Millions didn't earn it.
Right.
And just getting a refund, that's a transfer of wealth from one side to another.
Yep.
And so when you look at all of this, how do you, on one hand, you're saying we're going to do record. We're going to cut the budget like you've never seen before, as you have said, okay, now let's add trillions of dollars of spending, as we're telling you we're going to have trillions of dollars of cuts.
By the way, you'll have Democrats on board for this, I'm sure.
But what are you going to cut?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because right now it's all the generic stuff.
Right, yeah.
We're going to look for the ways and the vision. Well, we know you're not cutting defense.
Right.
That's not happening. You're not cutting Social Security. You're not cutting Medicare.
Right.
Those are the biggies. You're going to add trillions of dollars more in spending. Where is the $2 trillion coming from?
Well,
my point is, I've put up 42 years in this business, and I don't care whether it's Democrats or even Republicans when they say they're going to cut, they never really do.
Right.
And now we're told, no, we're serious this time. And Josh Hawley jumps out. Oh, the administration wants to have trillions of dollars of more spending.
Right.
Then are you serious or are you not?
Right.
Did you just BS us the last year or not?
Right.
Remember, we told you We're going to hold the Republicans accountable. We're conservatives. The guy who, told us a couple weeks ago, you guys are rhinos. We go, well, actually, we're conservative libertarians. Neither of us are registered Republicans, haven't been for years. But the fact is, if we were Republicans, you're right. We would be absolute rhinos because we're much more conservative than the Republican Party is right now.
Yep.
The Republican Party has been going in the opposite direction of our conservative beliefs and our conservative, fiscal beliefs.
Right.
Now, we had great hopes with this, and hopefully you'll have calmer minds prevail here and say, no, if you're going to cut, you're going to have to cut. But we've always been weary of whether they actually can do it, because the first reaction you've seen is everybody is for the generic cuts. And then when I saw the other day, it was Congressman Pete Sessions locally here who said, I can't support the budget coming up here because there's no money. There's not enough money for farmers. And then Josh Hawley, we got to have trillions of dollars in a tax credit, which is cash, which is transference of money. And it's like, well, then are you guys really serious?
It's a welfare program.
Yeah.
And call it a welfare program.
Yeah,
we want to write checks to people who have children. It would, again, do away with the $2,500 minimum income, and it would be up to $5,000.
Yep.
Well, then what the hell are we doing? The late Milton Friedman, he was not for government handouts, but he always said, if you're going to do it, just write a check. His point really was what we're saying. If you're going to do welfare, just do welfare. Just call it welfare and write the check. You would save the government, probably save the government on at least on admin costs. Now, we don't propose that, but he was making a point we're making.
But the point he was making, he wasn't talking about the child tax credit. He was talking about all the bureaucracy that hands out money.
Which is why I was talking about, that you would save. You don't need the bureaucracy. If you're going to do these programs, just write checks. Well, the whole idea of it is welfare. Don't call it a child tax credit if they don't earn the money and pay taxes to begin with.
It's welfare.
It's welfare.
Right.
There's no way around that.
And so Republicans would be promoting through Josh Hawley the biggest welfare expansion in modern history.
Yep.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF. Fuel Power Max.
Leased owner-operators should be aware of 4 common revenue myths, lest you fall into the trap of mistaking revenue for profit. Myth 1, concentrate on increasing revenue because costs will take care of themselves. This is not true, as costs are fundamental to the profit equation and the area where owners exert the most control to improve. Myth 2, more revenue per mile is the answer to all problems. Though carrier pay packages differ in structure, revenue per mile really doesn't change much from company to company. But there can be a big difference in miles, overall gross revenue, reimbursements, and fees. Myth 3, all you have to do to be successful is run a lot of miles. In reality, revenue is only half of the profit equation. Costs are the other half. It's possible to generate a lot of revenue, yet spend $1.10 to make every dollar. Myth 4, you can tell how well you're doing by the size of your settlement check. The settlement check is only a part of the success picture. Miles driven, loads hauled, conditions, mechanical problems, time off, and especially costs all have to be considered. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella, with advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Be interesting to see if the conservative media picks up on the child tax credit. Remember, this is something that Republicans used to be united against.
Right.
Saying if you're going to have a welfare program, then have a welfare program.
Right.
but don't make the tax system a welfare program.
Right.
And that's what Josh Hawley plans to do. Look, there's a ton of liberalism in Josh Hawley, and I like him in some areas where he's talking about, accountability and going after the administration. But he's an outright liberal on many things. For example, with price controls that he wants on credit cards, things like that. He's pretty good at the demonization of corporations, and now seems to be really big on promoting a huge expansion of welfare, but not in the welfare program, but in the tax system.
Right.
And so he's really good at going after people, going after the Biden administration. But there's a ton of liberalism in Josh Hawley.
Yep.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. I was thinking maybe that we should form, because, you've got the Department of Government Efficiency on one hand that wishes to cut $2 trillion. And then you have the Republican Party that we're not sure yet whether they really want to cut or not. And what we have seen, for example, and you mentioned Josh Hawley, was, a massive expansion of the welfare system, but hidden in the tax system.
Right. With
a massive expansion of the child tax credit, which would be, if you didn't earn any income, you would actually get cash back,
right,
which, again, is just a transfer of money in the government. And so we look at this and we say, are the Republicans very serious? And we're going to hold them. So we're going to hold them, their feet to the fire on this, because you can't, on one hand, say you're going to cut $2 trillion. We didn't come up with this; they did.
Right.
We're going to cut $2 trillion. We're going to cut $2 trillion. We're going to target this $2 trillion. Well, you can't just target $2 trillion on one side and be spending trillions more on the other side.
Right.
You said $2 trillion. We don't believe it's going to be $2 trillion. We'd be happy if it was $100 billion a year.
Right. Any cut.
And any cut, we will take. But we have come up with the Department of Political Economics, DOPE. And so we're going to look at how politicians coming up, and we'll have these certain segments on the show over the next couple of years. DOPE. We'll talk DOPE.
Yeah.
Department of Political Economics. What they tell us, will they be able to do it? And will they actually stick with it? And is the Republican Party actually behind what the incoming administration claims they want to do?
Right.
Now, the fact that you pointed out in the Axios article that Josh Hawley has already consulted on that figure with J.D. Vance means this massive $1 trillion spending has the approval of Trump.
Right. I haven't seen anybody counter that. If it happens, then great. But it was Josh Hawley who posted the Axios story, proudly promoting his bill.
So when you look at this, we're not even getting a report for another year and a half.
Right.
Over a year and a half.
Yeah.
You're not going to get the report till July 4th, 2026, a couple of months before the midterm.
Right.
So you have no chance of even starting the cuts until then, because the report will come out unless they wish to accelerate it.
If they find things and say, we're going to act on this now or something like that.
Exactly.
We'll see.
But as of right now, we don't know. But if you do it at that point, nobody's going to cut before a midterm election.
Right.
And if the Republicans spend a lot, like they did in 2006, when you and I first said, okay, That's when I started moving away from the Republican Party,
Mm-hmm.
where I said they're not really serious about cutting.
Right.
And remember the first year of the Trump administration, they never got the cuts they wanted to get.
Well, remember the GOP promised to gut Obamacare in 2016. Yep. They got into office in 2017, and okay, we'll just gut the funding mechanism for it.
Right. The expenses remain. We cut the funding.
Right.
And so that's why we don't take any. I don't care whether you're a Republican. I don't care whether you're Republican, Democrat. I don't care whether your name is Trump. I don't care whether your name is Bush, Biden. I don't care what your name is. All I care about is what you do. And if you promise massive $1 trillion cuts, I don't want to be blanked.
Right.
Do it. And if you're endorsing what Josh Hawley is saying, then you're not serious about cutting.
It's maddening.
Right. Don't get angry at us. They're the ones promoting this. We're simply analyzing and saying, if you're going to cut, why the hell are you promoting this over here?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you promoting the biggest expansion of welfare probably in American political history?
Right. I mean,
by increasing the child tax credit to that amount and giving cash to people that don't do it. It's not a tax cut. It's welfare.
And here it is. Here's the line from the Axios story again that Josh Hawley posted. So he's promoting it. He's promoting the story, which outlines his plan. Hawley has talked with Trump and the president-elect's team about the proposal and took Vice President-elect J.D. Vance's lead on the specific $5,000 number. The senator, Hawley, told Axios. I haven't seen any counter from that from the transition team or J.D. Vance.
No, nothing.
Maybe that will happen in the future, but you would think that would happen right away, saying, hey, we're not proposing this, or I don't know. I don't know why Hawley would tell Axios that. Axios would post it. Hawley posts their story on his social media page if it weren't true, because he knows he'd get called out immediately by the transition team.
Oh, yeah. If it wasn't true.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll see. Again, and like I said, don't, and I'm sure we'll get some hate mail on it. Well, you guys, nope, sorry. Hey, you can't say I want to. None of this did we propose. We're simply looking, and they're the ones that say we're going to have the biggest cuts in American history.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden we see, what is this story? What? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if they come back and say it's not true, I'll be the first to say, thank goodness it wasn't true. That story was inaccurate.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
we'll be the first one to do it.
It would have to be somebody hacking into Josh Hawley's social media account, posting the story from Axios. But
well, if the story isn't true, not that Josh Hawley posted it,
mm-hmm.
but if the story that the part of Axios that J.D. Vance and the president know about,
if that part
isn't true,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
and I'll be the first to say they got the story wrong. But we're your early warning system here.
Yeah,
we're dope.
Yeah, yeah, and it says in the story that Hawley told them that he sat down with J.D. Vance. Hawley told Axios.
Okay. Oh, so then he posted that. So,
yeah.
Okay, so that's what
the senator told Axios.
Well, if it's not true, then we would say that Hawley did not tell the truth.
Exactly. I mean, if he's lying about that part of it, that's a huge problem for him. Which tells me he's probably not lying about it. But again, it could be inaccurate, and maybe J.D. Vance comes out and says, well, we talked about different amounts and blah, 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 and we'll see where it goes. But we also talked about the willingness to spend, not just other members of the GOP. There are ideas, across the board where Trump believes in spending. we talked about RFK Jr. This would be an expansion if he were to get Secretary of Health and Human Services. If he's confirmed, then that's going to be, there's likely under his reign, likely going to be greater spending. Now, Trump would have to rein that in and say, no, we're not going to do that part of it. But that's who RFK Jr. has been on health care. And Trump, in recent years, has talked about it. We need to take another look at single payer. So we don't know. We have no idea where it's going to go, which is why we don't sit. Look, I'm glad he won. I'm glad it's not going to be Kamala Harris.
Yeah, we said that from the
very beginning. And I think he will do a great job overall. But these are things that you have to look out for when it comes to the Democrats and working against everything they've done. You shouldn't have to work against your own party and liberal ideas from your own party along the way that are being thrown out here. This is something that's thrown out roughly just over a month before Trump takes office by Hawley.
Well, we said the problem is that you have a populist movement in this country, which is the government in a separate way, instead of helping illegals, should be helping us, which means money. That's the reality of it. Government needs to help me. Well, what does that mean? You don't shrink the government by $2 trillion if your philosophy is that we need to help Americans, which means the transfer of money to them.
Right. Well,
yeah, you may believe it's the right thing to do. You're not going to cut. How do I know? History. History has shown. Well, yeah, but if we expand the economy, well, we've been expanding the economy since we formed as a country. The debt keeps going up and up and up and up and up. So, yeah, you've got to expand the economy and you've got to cut.
Here it is from Axios. In response to potential concerns about the price tag, Hawley emphasized that, quote, these are the folks who delivered us a majority, end quote, and that the plan would be, quote, fantastic for the economy, end quote. He also noted people have to be paying taxes to earn the credit, arguing it's not a social assistance program. It is if they're getting more than they pay in on income tax. Don't make this, by the way, about the FICA tax, about the payroll tax.
FICA's separate.
It's separate. And we're talking income tax. If they're paying no income tax and they're getting up to $5,000, that is a social assistance program. There's no way around it, and don't say otherwise. You're lying to the people in trying to sell this thing, because that's blatantly false.
Or if you're paying $1,000 in income tax,
right, and you get $5,000,
and you get $5,000 back,
exactly.
It's a welfare system.
It's anything that you get above what you paid in.
Yeah. Don't lie about what it is.
Right. Income tax, not payroll tax.
Yeah. Did he mention payroll tax, or are you just assuming that's what he's?
Axios did, but he didn't.
Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me find that part.
If you're saying, well, they're still paying payroll tax, and therefore it's not welfare. Payroll tax is completely separate.
They wrote Hawley wants to apply the credit to payroll taxes. That's the FICA tax.
Oh, well, then it is. Then what he's saying,
allowing even Americans who do not make enough money to pay income taxes to access bigger refunds. We already have that.
God, stop it, Hawley.
I mean,
stop the BSing.
Right. Now, they wrote that without a quote, but I'm assuming it's correct. Again, Josh Hawley posted this on his social media page. He posted this story.
You know, that's right out of the Democrat playbook from 10 years ago.
It is.
Right out of the Democrat
playbook.
They
pay taxes. They pay the payroll tax. Nope, not the same as income tax.
We had this argument 10 years ago when Democrats were talking about this.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is why I believe you'll get a number, if this thing catches fire, you'll get a number of Democrats on board. And the populist thing will carry this thing. It'll sail.
You notice he never addressed the economic part of it, though, or the debt part of it.
Right.
He can't. 866-98 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the top of the hour, some of the audio of Trump's press conference yesterday. I think one of the things they want to do is just show the contrast between how he'll answer any question, whatever you have, go for it.
Yeah.
And the Biden administration and Joe Biden, because you saw that yesterday. Wow, Trump's out there answering any question out there, and
right.
Biden is just
Biden
is hiding as normal. They really want to show that particular contrast, and they're giving him the opportunity to talk about the fact of how Biden is trying to do everything to jam up what's going to be happening. And what Biden has done, I can guarantee independents aren't happy with. But Trump, you could tell, Trump's learned a lot over the last couple of years. He really, it's almost, at times I'm like, wow, he's a different person up there. I know he isn't, but it's just his style. He's much more relaxed.
Yeah.
He's calm. He'll still go after you, but he goes after you in a much nicer way, which he was extremely effective yesterday, I thought.
Yeah, I think, he's shown that this year especially. And, of course, it stands to reason that there would be a series of reckonings with everything that's been thrown at him, especially, again, 2 recent assassination attempts. But also in dealing with the media. There was still this air in his first term that the media thought they were in control of everything, and they're not anymore. They're not in control of the messaging.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Here we are, week from Christmas Eve.
Ah, yes. And the stockings are hung by the chimney with care.
Well,
if anybody cares.
This year I'd like to get coal, but I hear Biden's trying to stop that too. So
can't have coal, can't burn. In fact, you can't have flames. No flames, no heat. Remember the whole thing in the UK? Was it last year or a year before? Look, friction is your friend. Rub your hands together.
Oh, geez.
They didn't say that. We did.
Friction is your friend.
I wouldn't be surprised if some official in the UK, listen, you might want to just rub your hands together. It'd be nice and warm.
Well, Trump with his press conference yesterday. Let's hear a couple of pieces of audio from it.
All right.
Apple CEO Tim Cook.
I did have dinner with Tim Cook. I had dinner with sort of almost all of them, and the rest are coming. And this is one of the big differences, I think, between, we were talking about it before, one of the big differences between the first term. In the first term, everybody was fighting me. In this term, everybody wants to be my friend. I don't know. My personality changed or something. But I had, as you know, I had Sundar from Google, but I also had Sergey. Nobody reported that. Sergey is the owner, the primary owner, along with his friend, as you know. And Sergey was here also. I can't believe you didn't pick that one up. Nope.
I mean, he's talking about because the media was all, did we play some audio yesterday? Who was it? was it MSNBC or was it the Democrats contemplating, what did we do wrong? I mean, I know what it was. It was about that. It was from, I can't think of Harris's deputy campaign manager who said, we tried to get on the sports podcasts and they wouldn't have us. Mm-hmm. And then we had talked about Rogan where, she was putting the restrictions on, as she did with Rogan. There were topics she would not discuss if she was going to go on with Rogan.
Right.
She didn't want it to be 3 hours. Yeah. There were some topics that were off limits, and they wanted him to come to them. And he said, well, we can talk about whatever you want. I don't care. If you don't want to talk some topics, fine. We're going to have a conversation back and forth, but it's going to be 3 hours. You have to come here. And she said no. But Trump talked about that yesterday.
How do you plan to stop the ban on TikTok next month?
Who?
How do you plan to stop the ban on TikTok next month?
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok had something to do with that. Now, Joe Rogan did, and some of the other people that were recommended by my son Barron, he knew names. I said, who is that? Tell me, who's that? Dad, you got to be kidding. I can't believe you don't know. And I did those interviews, and it was actually sort of cute. Do you want to know the truth? But we did them, and that had an impact. But TikTok had an impact, and so we're taking a look at it. But, you know, we won youth. Republicans are always 30 points down in youth. I don't know why, but we ended up finishing. There was one poll that showed us down about 30. We were 35 or 36 points up with young people. So I have a little bit of a warm spot in my heart, I'll be honest. Yes, please.
Yeah.
He's relaxed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He is extremely relaxed. Here he talks about the murder of the CEO, the healthcare CEO.
And what do you make of the reaction
I think
around
it's
the
terrible.
suspected shooter? Does that tell you anything about how people
I think
about
it's a
healthcare?
terrible thing. I think it's really terrible that some people seem to admire him, like him. And I was happy to see that it wasn't specific to this gentleman that was killed. It's just an overall sickness as opposed to a specific sickness. That was a terrible thing. It was cold-blooded, just a cold-blooded, horrible killing. And how people can like this guy is, that's a sickness, actually. That's really very bad, especially the way it was done. It was so bad, right in the back. And very bad, very thing like that. You can't believe that some people, and maybe it's fake news. I don't know. It's hard to believe that that can even be thought of. But
there is a certain relaxation which I think comes from confidence.
Yeah. Well,
that
he's always owned the room, but now he truly owns the room because he's there for a reason now. And he's not asking for anything anymore. He's not campaigning. He's won, and he was delivered a very clear victory, and that has to reset the table. You know that, and I think that's part of what has been going on. But also, if you look at the comeback, everything thrown at him, Gary, it's mind-boggling. You know, Andrew McCarthy's book, Ball of Collusion, which really is unfinished if you think about it. I mean, you're going to have to go back and write, I don't know, second, third, maybe he will. But you have to go back, and if you tell the entire story, it is insane. It is insane, and then culminates, I think, the crescendo was 2 assassination attempts. If not for a quarter of an inch of a head turn, we'd be having a much different discussion right now. So I think all of these things, not just that he won, but if you look at the comeback, the political comeback that this is, it is mind-boggling. It's the difference between looking at a picture of Mount Everest and then going to Base Camp 1 and looking up going, oh, crap, he overcame. I mean, he summited a couple of times and didn't flinch. I mean, there were things we called him out on. I was like, okay, don't engage here, don't engage there. And in the end, everything that he did, everything in the last few months that they were promoting as a campaign was on point, and it was clear. And the party was on point. This is why it's frustrating to go over the Josh Hawley story on the child tax credit bill that he's proposing. My gosh, we got here after all this, and you're going to throw that thing down? Really? You're coming out of the gate, Josh Hawley, with that? And
I bet you the majority of the American public will say it's good.
That's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
Populism is going to float this thing. It will sail.
You know, look, you had 3 Democrats yesterday introduce, a constitutional amendment to get rid of the Electoral College.
Right.
I think it's Hillsdale College that keeps promoting on Facebook that 59% of Americans wish to get rid of the Electoral College. 59% of Americans are nuts. They would be absolutely against doing that if you ever had it and put it into practice.
Right.
Because that you would have because number one, if you get rid of the Electoral College, I thought it was fascinating that it was 3 Democratic senators. Because if you get rid of the Electoral College, the next thing is the Senate.
Right. It's almost.
Right.
It's almost part 2 of that same equation.
Yeah, the Electoral College is basically an extension of the Senate, or vice versa, however you want to use it. Mm-hmm. That the Senate isn't based on raw population,
right?
And it's been Democrats and liberals that have talked about the fact that the Senate has to go too. That both Congress and the presidential election, that it all has to be basically the popular vote. Mm-hmm. The popular vote, that the only legislature we should have should be based on population, which means the vast majority of states would have no say in anything that happens in the country.
Right. That's insane.
People don't think.
No, they don't.
They just don't think. They have no idea. You and I have talked about this before, that the people that sit there and scream and yell that, they're liberal patriots and this is wrong. And you realize they have no idea how, when we see how many people have no idea about the 3 branches of government, they have no idea what the Constitution is about. And the funny thing is, that's something that I knew at an extremely young age. I knew about the separation of powers at an extremely young age. Mm-hmm. I understood why we had a bicameral legislature. Mm-hmm. I understood why we had, the part of Congress that was, the people, the House, and then the states. Why you had the Senate. It's a 5-minute history lesson to explain it, and people walk around, no, I think the popular vote should be for every. They have no idea why the country was found the way that it was found inside of the Constitution. They have no idea. They're completely clueless, yet they go with this certain elitism and arrogance that this is what has to be done. Now, the Democrats might regret if they ever got the Electoral College going, because Trump just won the popular vote.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you promote insanity, you might need the Electoral College down the line.
Well, cost of living could shrink California's population. It's
right.
So there's, all these things that are working against them, but it basically is, I want things my way, my way, my way. It's we used to call it bumper sticker, then it was meme mentality, but I think you could attach social media mentality. In other words, I want to click the like button on something and then not, or I want to post something and not be challenged on it. Right?
Yeah.
I just want to post something, feel good about myself, get 100 likes, and go to bed. And then, someone posts, yeah, but I don't want to discuss it. Well, the fact is that when you have to get into reality, when you have to deal with reality, Josh Hawley is talking about, in this case, according to the numbers here, this bill, this increased child tax credit, 2 to 3 trillion total over 10 years. We're dealing with inflation still, and we don't want to slow down. And, you know, these are the people, he says, that helped get us the win. They gave us the majority. Well, the fact of the matter is that it's going to hurt them long term to keep spending money like this. That inflation is what has them underwater. Inflation robbing them of their spending power over and over again. And because once you start this, there's always going to be a next step of increasing. Well, this isn't enough. Now we need to give families more. It's a welfare program. Call it that and then put it together and float that bill and see where it goes. But populism will make this thing happen if it catches fire, you know, for any length of time, because you're going to have Democrats on board for it.
I think that there should be a senior tax credit.
Yes. I've seen your tax credit, and I don't like it. What? Yes.
Yes. I want a senior tax
starting
credit.
at the age of 59 here in about 20 days or so.
Seniors needed more because of inflation and limited income.
And we have expensive RVs to keep up with. None of your business. You kids get out of my yard. It's, yeah. And also, old guitar players who don't play in a band should get subsidies.
Oh, wait, I can't wait to talk to
I keep seeing new Fenders coming out.
I can't wait to talk to Independent Bob about this. He's going to go crazy.
Oh, about the Hawley thing?
Oh, yeah. He'll go crazy because,
yeah.
you know, he always talks about single people get ripped off all the time. Like on school taxes. He goes crazy. Oh, I got to send him the story. He'll go crazy at this one.
Mm-hmm. Look, again, populism will dictate that, oh, no, we need to help families. And this is how you get to where we'll never cut spending. When we said it before, it's from all the years of doing this. The Republican Party has tapped the brakes, and I do mean tap the brakes one time on welfare. That was welfare reform, and that just barely tapped the brakes. That ain't going to happen again. But they talk about it. And, you know, I want to see Department of Government Efficiency take on this bill because they'll have time. If this bill floats by Hawley, you know, in 25, then take it apart.
You know where it comes from? Part of it comes, I'm not saying from Hawley, but part of it comes from the false assumption that the reason that people aren't having kids is because the government isn't giving them enough money to have kids. And that's wrong. Money is not the reason. It's culture.
Oh, no, it is. I think it's cultural, too.
I agree. It's culture.
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
I think it is, too.
You see that promoted. That people are, yes, it's about time because that's why people aren't having it. We need to incentivize people that people don't have kids because of money.
Right.
Because the government will reward them.
Right.
And so, I mean, that's one of the things that will be promoted, though.
I
for
think
the family.
I think a grandchild tax credit. Yeah. I think we should look at that.
Well, I
have 8.
Or seniors that act like children.
Both.
Tax credit.
Yes.
That way I could get some.
Yes. Unsuccessful guitar players. A subsidy for those. I've got a whole list.
Bad golfer.
That's got to be a movie. Bad golfer. That'd be great. Billy Bob Thornton.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you so much for being here. A week from Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
866-90 Red Eye. All right. Where are we going to go here?
All right, what do you got?
Well, coming up following the bottom of the hour, because it's, this is the end of the year. This is our last week. I keep forgetting that. I think the biggest thing this year, besides Trump winning, one of the reasons that he won is something that we took on a couple of years ago. And we were disagreeing with members of our audience that even probably 5-6 years ago were calling us and saying Republicans can never win because the media is against them.
Right.
And we kept saying the internet, the internet,
Right.
the internet,
Yep.
the internet. It's taking over. It's taking over. And we had some interesting discussions going back and forth, sometimes a little bit loud, but we're like, nope, the internet, the internet, the internet, the internet. And it's finally hit.
Yeah.
And I think what changed it completely, what put it over the top completely and made it much quicker was Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Yeah.
Really did.
Yeah.
And the debate.
And I think, the subsequent Twitter files, event essentially that happened. So, yeah, I think both of those.
Yeah, yes, that. But I mean, just the fact that
the conversation,
the conversation,
right.
the community notes,
right.
All of that. And it's really a fascinating debate because the other side's losing the debate on it.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you why they are coming up following the bottom of the hour, because their point is the government must be the sole arbiter of the discussion in our society. That's an insane opinion to hold in 2024.
Yeah.
You're not going to convince anybody of that.
No.
That somebody's going to tell you what the truth is.
Yeah. Nope.
That it worked for a while. Ivy League students love it. Please tell me how to think. Tell me what to do.
Right.
The White House press corps, for the most part. Not Ducey, not New York Post or the other conservative media, but the rest. Tell us what to think. Tell us what to say. Give us our talking points. The rest of America doesn't want that.
Christmas turkeys stuffed with holiday cheer. Eric and Gary on Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. You can listen when you choose. Yeah, so as I look back at this year, a lot of great things happen in this country. A lot of reasons to be positive. The weaponization of government has been limited to where it was going. It has been stalled. I'm not saying that it still doesn't exist, but because the Biden administration is still in power, but it has been limited. It has been slowed down. The Supreme Court with their immunity, the Supreme Court with a lot of their rulings on immunity.
Yeah, right.
We're absolutely right on those particular issues. The going after Trump, the way that they did, the lawfare, has just been destroyed. Nothing makes me happier than that, because the fear of a banana republic, and that both sides would do that on a, consistently, you don't know where that spirals out of control.
Right.
You just don't know. What was it from Signs when the two brothers were talking, and basically talking about, well, do you believe that do you believe that it's up to us at all? Everything could basically go to hell,
right.
Or are we being watched over, and are we going to be okay no matter what?
Right.
Well, the reality is that it's all on us. It's all on us. We decide. And where you see that this government was going under Democratic rule was downright frightening. I have never seen in my life, and it'd be interesting to go back and look at history, as to an executive branch that their goal was to hurt American citizens on not just one issue, but issue after issue after issue after issue. Now, I will say that the incoming administration and a lot of the populist movement is government's there to help people, which means more government spending. And sorry, we don't have the money anymore, folks.
Right.
Because that's the other thing. Well, no, the government's there to help us. Well, that costs. And when you say the government, what you're saying is the government needs to transfer money from some people by requiring them to pay money to transfer it to you. Because there really is the government doesn't give you anything. They just take from one and give to the other.
Right.
As we all know. And so you also have to be careful about that. Well, we finally got somebody in there that will take care of us, because that would be the immediate instinctual reaction.
Right.
After you had a government that actually put in policy to hurt you.
Yeah.
The natural recourse would be, well, give me a government that will help me.
Right. Right.
You were sort of give me a government that just leaves me the hell alone.
Right.
And so, but great movement in this country. And we talk about freedom of speech. What we have seen over the last year with X is unbelievably great. Unbelievably great. The fact that the mainstream media, the liberal media, the far left political activists that exist there, the fact that they know that they're losing influence is the most wonderful thing in the world.
Yeah.
This crap that they give you, because it's the people that promote and regurgitate the most disinformation and lies that believe they should have a monopoly on what, to use Caitlin Clark, to tell you what their truth is. And their truth is your truth. And if their truth is not your truth, they wish to punish you. It wasn't an accident that mainstream Democrats, Hillary Clinton and John Kerry, talked about the fact that you should be punished even criminally.
Yeah.
For misinformation and or hate speech, however the hell you define that. Give me any time in the world, because it gets frustrating at times. I can go through X and go, let me get through these complete total morons and the moronic speculation out there. The drone talk this week, among others. Give me that any day of the week, because I can still find out what the truth is. I would rather have a completely open arena of ideas out there, from the insane to the logical. Even if there's more insane than logical, I'd rather have that any day of the week than a bunch of elitists in the government deciding and disseminating what the truth is. Because I guarantee the truth will be a lie.
Well, it should always be a red flag when those who control the arena ban people from the arena.
Yeah. Yep.
And in this arena of discussions, who should be afraid of community notes? I mean, you may get corrected on something along the way. It doesn't necessarily make you a liar, but if you're a liar, you're going to get called out on it. And the liberal media doesn't, the activists in the liberal media, and Jack and everybody at Twitter before Elon Musk. We saw how it went down to the point that the FBI had a hand in it. We know from Facebook, Zuckerberg, it was no coincidence that right about that time that the Twitter files, or you could call them the X files now, the Twitter files were coming out and everything was landing. And Zuckerberg goes on Rogan and says, oh, yeah, the government came to us about the laptop thing in 2020. Look, it's you can decide what you want to believe. Some people may read everything, every bit of the truth, and still not believe it. You know, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him believe it. And those are the problems, that we've always had. But when the left goes out, and they went on a rampage. They went to war with people on things like the laptop. The whole New York Post thing is insane.
And that when you look back upon that, unbelievably,
it's insane,
frightening.
It's
what
insane,
happened, and the government influence on censoring one of the oldest media outlets in the country. And as we have always said to any young people out there, ask yourself this question, because it's a very important question to ask yourself. Why do conservatives want to know what the other side is saying, promote every day what the other side is saying in order to have an active debate, and the other side, which is the left, wishes to stifle the other side, stifle debate, stop the debate, censor the debate, censor opinions they don't like?
Right.
Ask yourself that question.
Right.
And then ask yourself, are you being bull crapped when they tell you that, the reason we don't want you to hear this is because we don't believe you have the capability of disseminating what the truth is, and so we must be the gatekeeper for you because you're too stupid to figure it out yourself.
Right.
Or do you want to be on the other side, which says, no, I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm a conservative. I'm going to tell you what I think, and I'm going to tell you what they think.
Yeah.
Based on not me trying to interpret, but me quoting or playing in their own words what they think, and then you decide after hearing the arguments, you have the ability to decide what is right and what is wrong.
Well, the New York Post story is a prime example. If Miranda Devine and the New York Post put it out there and they're wrong, it's their credibility. That's on them.
Right.
If they get something wrong and it's a source story or whatever it is, and they get burned, then that burn is on them. You and I always approach it like, okay, let's see where it goes from here. We'll know soon enough whether there's something here or not. You don't silence the actual media because you don't like the story that's out there, unless, of course, internally they knew it was politically damaging, and that's exactly how that whole thing went down. Then you think about the lab leak theory on COVID. We'll shut you down. We'll take away your social media presence. You will not have one. You will not exist in the discussion at all. You are banned from the arena officially. It's the left that's always afraid of the truth or the discussion. Forget about the truth. It's whether or not you can have the discussion. You can put whatever theory you want out there. It will be workshopped by the other people reading it over and over again. And that's the whole idea behind community notes is that, all right, people are going to, again, do their own research, come back with an answer or a response, and there it is. You don't have to believe any of it, or you can believe all of it. But you make that choice. The government doesn't step in, or the forces of the liberal activist media don't step in. This is why you're seeing right now, you're seeing this implosion, because I think they fully understand they don't have that impact anymore. They just don't have that control. They needed, by the way, the government's backing. When Jack was at Twitter, doing things like that and controlling that, must have given them some kind of comfort to have the FBI's backing of that. If you look at all of the Twitter files stuff that landed, they felt empowered by that. They felt, like that power was theirs and they could control the conversation. By the way, they feel that way. They feel that's the logical and righteous thing to do is control the conversation and eliminate the things they don't like in the conversation.
Right. And the reason is their opinions can't stand up to cross-examination.
Right. They can't debate.
And everything needs to, in this country, every opinion needs to have community notes, which is cross-examination.
Right. Yep.
And they don't want it.
They do not.
Because they know you won't buy what they sell if you hear the other side. That's the only reason.
Right.
Because I'm not fearful. Are you fearful of what the other side says?
No.
Are you fearful if the other side comes up and says, I want to argue with your point?
Nope.
No.
Never.
No, go ahead. Wow, we missed that. We're like, please do that.
It's been a long time.
All right, well, then I'm going to engage you. I'm the person engaging you, Eric, okay? I'm going to engage you, Eric. You ready to know where you're wrong? You're a complete moron, idiot, and a fascist, and Hitler.
It's always you start with the name calling. Okay.
So, see, I'm willing to debate you.
How much of a moron are you? If you were to rate your moronness, then how much would you have? On a scale of 1 to 100.
Yeah, but you're not getting into the substance of the argument.
Of course.
Yes, I am, because the substance of the argument is you're a fascist and nobody should listen to you.
Exactly. They try and shut it down. Again, trying to end the conversation because they can't have one.
I wish I was exaggerating.
Yeah, no, seriously.
I'm not.
Yeah.
866-90 Red Eye.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90 Red Eye on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up finding the top of the hour, the biggest BS statement from a politician.
In the last 5 minutes.
well, it's our BS of the day from a politician.
All right,
coming up on the top of the hour. But no, seeing that the media and the media outlets out there now are moving away from the small concentration of New York Times, Washington Post, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC. Seeing that it's now that they're losing their clout.
Yeah, right.
To me is the most wonderful thing. And seeing that the media out there is so widespread, from great media and accurate media to complete conspiracy theories, fine. I'd rather have that than central control.
Yep.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. You ready for the BS moment of the day?
All right.
The absolute BS moment of the day.
What do you got?
Comes from Gavin Newsom of California.
All right.
When he was talking about his Department of Government Efficiency in California.
Okay.
Yes, he was talking his own Doge. You ready?
All right.
Here we go.
We've been working, I don't know, before Doge was Doge. I don't know what this is, just like a promo project. We've been doing civil service reform in this state. We've been consolidating job classifications. We've been updating job descriptions in this state. And we waive those requirements. And in fact, I think it was in August, earlier August, we came up with your shop. We're going to double that next year. In fact, by 32,000, it'll be 62,000 positions. We will have eliminated those barriers in that requirement. So California's been a leader in that.
So California is a leader in government efficiency.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's running.
I guess I was wrong.
I'm sorry. It's like
to the Democrats,
If
the
you're
rank and file Democrats of California, your governor is a job killer.
or a BSer.
Well, if you believe him, he's killing jobs. If you don't, he's a liar.
He is the leader in government efficiency. Gavin Newsom,
Yeah.
California.
Right.
Number one leader in government efficiency.
I guess I just had it wrong.
We all had it wrong. We didn't even know. The most conservative state, the most fiscally conservative state of them all is California under Gavin Newsom.
Probably the most conservative city in America, San Francisco.
Yes. I mean, we're just
What was I thinking?
we're very impressed here in Texas.
Yeah. To our friends in Kern County, please.
Wait a minute.
Y'all aren't conservative.
Where was
Gavin Newsom's conservative.
Yes, come on. Yeah. What are you talking about?
What are you trying to pull?
Wasn't Newsom going somewhere again to check out how conservatives do things? He did it. He did it when he was lieutenant governor, right? Back
right.
years ago when he came to Texas. We're going to try to figure out how Texas is successful in attracting business and how they do things, because we're just completely clueless here. We're in California, and we just don't. How did they do that? And so he came to Texas. We don't think he brought anything back with him, though.
Right. Yeah.
But he did something, too, the last couple of months where he said, oh, God, because it was on the level of when he did that back when he was lieutenant governor. I forgot what it was. I forgot what he was looking at. I was just like, stop it.
Yeah, he's definitely going to run in 28. He's going to have to bring up his poll numbers, though.
I was seeing, it was Mark Halperin on his podcast with Sean Spicer, and they were talking about the fact that this isn't going to last long, Kamala Harris talking about a comeback.
Oh, yeah.
They said if she's talking about a comeback come January or February, that is going to be attacked by Democrats. They do not want her as governor of California. They do not want her to run again for president of the United States.
Yeah.
And she's promising a comeback. And it's like, no, you're going to see the knives will be out.
Yeah.
The knives will be out in a couple of months if she's still on that same narrative.
Well, again, she has been rejected by her own party repeatedly. Joe Biden is the only one that chose her. Full stop. And then he anointed her as he dropped out, which I still believe was a shot across the bow at his own party. I don't believe that was part of the deal when Nancy called him and said, hey, get out. I don't think endorsing her in his letter was part of it. I think he did that because he knew the party would have to get on board, that they would have to get in line with the endorsements. And remember how it was weird, bizarre, sluggish the endorsements were for her. It wasn't like an hour after his letter appears in the media, everyone in the Democratic Party was going, all the players were saying, no, we're with him, Kamala. No, it was like days later, the Obamas were like, I'm sorry, what? Who? And they finally had to come around. Now they're not talking to George Clooney. You know? So all this, the way that this whole thing happened, nothing screams, oh, we're going to see a rematch. We're going to see a comeback from her. Didn't happen the first time when she ran. Didn't even make it to 2020. She ran out of money. Her entire campaign was disorganized. And because nobody could come together because she didn't have it together.
Well, the only thing she's getting right now is holiday pity.
Yeah. Right.
That's how I feel.
Exactly. It's a holiday pity. It's it's really sad. But what else do you expect? Actually, it's kind of funny. It's laughable that there would be this kind of demand. The American people didn't go through the Democrats' rank and file, didn't choose her to be the nominee. So, yeah, not going to happen.
Yeah,
I suspect it's not going to happen.
But the Newsom thing, I mean, it's just like he's trying to do in a much more subtle way.
Oh yeah,
what Harris was trying to do during the campaign, which was like all of Trump's top positions. I'll be more aggressive.
Right. Yeah.
He says he believes these things, and I'll even be more aggressive than he is. When she ran that ad, I'll never forget you and I playing that ad. Oh, we just burst out laughing.
Oh,
Kamala Harris will ensure that the border is secure, not like Donald Trump. We're like, you can't sell that.
You're delusional.
You can't sell that. I mean, it was a good ad, but it doesn't matter whether it's a good ad if people know it's BS. I mean, it was powerful. I mean, the voice was there. I mean, it was all BS, and everybody knew it was false, but the ad itself, you would look at it and go, well, that's a pretty effective ad. No, it's not if you're her. No. Because nobody bought it. And Newsom.
Yeah.
I was Department of Government Efficiency before there was a Department of Government Efficiency. These people are just marketing something. They're not going to, I actually did it. I actually made, we're number one. We're California. We have the most efficient government in all of the United States.
Right.
Government efficiency is what California is about.
Right.
Now, you have to ask your question. Does anybody on the planet Earth buy that? Can you sell that to the American public?
No. No, another, again, failed attempt to try and ride the wake of what's going on here since November 5th. Somebody talk to me and tell me the last time Gavin Newsom promoted creating government efficiencies for the state of California. Are you kidding me? Now, we will say this. On reparations, he ended up saving the people of California because he killed the whole thing.
That he came up
with. And at the end said it's not about the money. Dude, it's all about the money.
Well, now you remember, they're coming back. They want a second bite at the apple. The reparations activists. They want a second bite at the apple this coming, after January, February, or whatever. They're going to challenge Newsom again, saying, we want the money. It was never about the money. Reparation. It was always only about the money.
He basically was telling them in the end, it's the thought that counts. No, it's reparations, not an apology. And again, if you want to say, well, he saved the taxpayers of that state money by it not going through when there was no money to begin with. My gosh, they couldn't get that off the ground. We wondered when he brought it back. It wasn't the first time reparations had been talked about. And in our career, it wasn't the first time.
No.
It's like, where are they going with this? Well, the same place they went when it came to state health care in California, and the lawmaker who insisted that they put a funding mechanism in the bill got death threats. They couldn't fund it. They couldn't do what they wanted to do on health care, and at the end, it went away.
The better story was there were a bunch of good stories, but the best one I thought was San Francisco. Remember they were up to like $5 million?
Yeah.
And then they had to close down the office.
They couldn't get the money for the office.
They didn't have a couple of $100,000 for the office. They were that bankrupt, and they're talking $5 million.
Right.
I mean, that was the ultimate example of virtue signaling with no chance of any substance.
Right. No, it wasn't.
And they were virtue signaling. It went from $250,000 to $500,000 to $1 million to $5 million. Then remember when somebody suggested $200 million per recipient?
Oh, yeah.
And then stupid me, I should have wasted my time, but I had to because I have time to waste. We're on overnight. So I had to calculate what that amount would be. I can't remember what I know what it was for the $200 million per eligible reparations recipient. My phone calculator couldn't calculate it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Remember, it ran out of room.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, and the point was, these people really aren't serious.
No.
They're virtue signaling. If I can do something that doesn't have a chance in hell of passing, then I'm a better person than you.
Exactly.
If I can promote a bigger number, if I can get up there and shoot off my mouth and say every eligible recipient's going to get $200 million, that's what I believe because I care more than you.
Uh-huh.
You're only saying $100 million. You're a damn fascist Nazi.
Exactly. And quite frankly, $200 million isn't enough. I mean, because that was the whole idea. We asked the question, are you saying at that point, whatever happened, whatever level they came up with, that was going to end it?
No.
You can't.
No, you can't have an amount that will end it. It has to be an amount that will continue the victimization.
Well, that's it.
And what is that amount?
Because you don't.
That's what they're trying to figure out.
You're not going to close the door on anything.
No.
$2 trillion per recipient wouldn't close the door on anything.
Yeah, but it shows you care more.
Exactly. Unless someone comes in with $4 trillion.
Right. If somebody's able to speak and get those
$100 trillion. I mean, again, where do you put it?
I remember somebody said one time, well, we should do it on the national level. Then they can just print the trillions and trillions of dollars to give for reparations.
Oh, that'll go well.
Well, yeah, what happens then when $1 million's only worth $10?
Right.
Because you printed up.
Exactly. Right. We're all billionaires, but nobody cares.
Oh, my gosh. That's right. Everybody's a billionaire, but it doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean
Inflation
right.
has completely killed that.
Right. Elizabeth Warren moves on to trillionaires. Yeah.
Oh, that means Bernie Sanders then would become a billionaire.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
But it doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean
kind of inflation.
Nobody cares about your $1 billion.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Drivers must always be prepared for a roadside inspection. This means drivers should always have their personal, vehicle, and company credentials organized and ready, and having any shipment paperwork such as bills of lading or hazardous materials shipment emergency response information organized and ready for the inspection official. Just an FYI, The top 2 violations written against drivers every year, as well as during Operation Road Check, are log, general form and manner, and log not current. Both are completely avoidable if the driver keeps the log accurate, compliant, and current at all times. Having the vehicle ready for inspection involves the driver conducting daily inspections and making sure any problems that are discovered are immediately corrected. Vehicle readiness also requires the company to make sure that the vehicle is current on all scheduled maintenance and that the maintenance schedule is adequate. This will make sure the driver is being given a sound vehicle to start with. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
Red Eye Radio, he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. I saw this audio cut yesterday. I said, this is really interesting. Bill Clinton looking at the election and what the problem is.
Okay. All right.
And he uses different words, but this is all about identity politics.
Yeah.
This shows that he knows what's going on, and he doesn't like it.
But there is a war going on in America now, essentially to try to dismantle the politics of inclusive tribalism.
Inclusive tribalism instead of identity politics.
Yeah.
Here we go.
That is a politics that treats diversity as an asset. And no one can repeal it, but the idea is to make people around the edges feel that identity is a zero-sum game, not a positive-sum game.
I mean, he's confusing in the way that he talks, but what he's saying is nobody can destroy identity politics. Right. Now, that's what a liberal believes.
Right.
A liberal believes that if you're black, you should all think the same. Mm-hmm. And if you didn't around the fringes, it's going to come back because blacks all think the same, whites all think the same.
Mm-hmm.
Those characteristics that you have that can't be changed, they believe the physical characteristics, whatever, mean you all in your brain think the same as your skin color,
right.
Which is not true. In fact, the opposite is happening, but that's how frightened Democrats are right there. But I love it. Instead of identity politics, inclusive tribalism.
Yeah, it's insane, and it's more. We've heard this from how many on the left since November 5th? They know what's going on.
Yep.
Identity politics is taking them down over and over again.
Yep.
They don't know how to say it. Some of them want to say it outright. They don't know how to say it directly.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. A couple of things here. The story out there that Trump announces plans to sue the Des Moines Register and its top pollster, who has retired, for brazen election interference and fraud over its final 2024 presidential poll, showing Vice President Kamala Harris leading him in Iowa, despite the ultimate victory in the state by more than 13 percentage points. Fox News Digital has learned the lawsuit was filed Monday night in Polk County, Iowa, under the Iowa Consumer Fraud Act and related provisions. It says it seeks accountability for brazen election interference committed by the Des Moines Register and Seltzer. in favor of the now defeated former Democratic candidate Kamala Harris through use of a leaked and manipulated Des Moines Register Iowa poll conducted by Seltzer and S&C and published in the Des Moines Register on November 2nd. The lawsuit is also against the parent company, the Des Moines Register, which also owns other publications, including USA Today. Gannett, I guess that would be. They're going after. So really interesting, because when I first saw this, I said, well, what's, because when I said brazen election interference, I went, well, I don't know if you can sue over that. It's got to be more. And then it's like, okay, fraud. Okay, maybe fraud, but how were you hurt by the fraud? You won.
Right.
So how were you hurt?
Right. Well,
I mean, those are the legal questions.
Yeah, you can't.
Not moral questions that I have. Those are all legal questions. How, where are you going with this? Now, when you see what he did to George Stephanopoulos and ABC, which was just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, ABC did not want him to get the emails.
No.
Obviously, they didn't want the internal emails for Trump to do that. Now, that was defamation because that was a specific legal conviction, and what Stephanopoulos was saying was not what he was civilly convicted of.
Right.
And so that's why it was a specific thing there. I don't know. I would have to find out more in Iowa law about why that would be fraud, and if Trump is the victim, why is he the victim if he won? Unless, because if you were, I'm just trying to think of how you stretch this out long enough to actually get her on the stand, or you get to look at how she did the poll. Because that was one of the criticisms from Mark Mitchell at Rasmussen when she put out the poll. You didn't see the demographic research on it.
Yeah, where are the tabs?
Yeah, that's what they call it, the tabs. You didn't see the tabs.
And then she came out and said that she didn't divulge everything because she would have been criticized. And we were like, well, and?
Right. That's the point.
Now you've got me more curious.
Because what you're saying is, if I give you transparency, I'll be criticized
right,
for it.
Exactly.
Which gives you, again, for Trump, I mean, you could use that saying, this is what she said.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't give the tabs, which would have given transparency, which means she was attempting to commit fraud.
Right.
Now, I don't know how the Iowa Consumer Fraud Act relates to pollsters and elections, and whether you need to have a specific victim or whether the fraud, well, good God, if you could,
is against the people.
Well, no, it could be against the people, the fraud would be against the people, because obviously you did something majorly wrong. You can look at it and say, there's something fishy here. I mean, you and I know it. We looked. We said it. We said, "There's no. She's not up in Iowa by 3 points."
Right.
We all knew that, and so roughly she was 17 points off. Now remember, the worst pollster in 2020. Is it 2020? Yeah. I forgot who it was, but they were off by
Quinnipiac.
They were off by 7 or 8.
Yeah.
17 is basically close to 17 is unheard of. And you and I looked at it, and when that came out, we go, this is just bogus. But is the evidence of fraud that you are such an outlier, or would a court look at it and go, it's a poll?
Well, I mean, that would be it. What influence does it have, and what damage does it inflict into whom?
Well, what I would wonder is, because if you can sue polls, it's all over.
Well, there's going to be a problem.
If you can successfully, let me put it this way, if you can successfully sue polls for being wrong on an election, man, You'll be off. I'm running for politics because I'll be rich.
Well, and they're not required to divulge their methodology. They're not required to divulge, everything on their tabs. And that's what Mitchell was making at Rasmussen. He said, look, we divulge everything. We tell you, and they were very, very close. He said, if not for the state of Texas, they would have been spot on. So he's not happy with us right now. But the point is that you divulge it in order to maintain your credibility, so that it's a transparent process, right? So that your readers, the consumers of that information, take from it what you believe is the truth, and based on your methodology. Look, we're trying to be accurate, which is basically telling the truth as to where each candidate stands before the election.
Well, yeah, you want to be close because you want the readers of the Des Moines Register to say, wow, okay, that's pretty accurate. I'll continue to buy the Des Moines Register. I mean, I'm satisfied because the number one thing you're trying to do as a pollster is, number one, please the outlet that's paying you.
Right.
And the way you do that is by being close in your polling. I mean, if I'm the Des Moines Register, I'm ticked off. And if I'm the Des Moines Register, I'm ticked off because now I'm part of this lawsuit.
Exactly. Well, I have to wonder, before the lawsuit even, she announced she's going to retire. Seltzer's retiring. So I have to wonder if that conversation was had like, we're not going to do this anymore. At the Des Moines Register, I don't know. There's no story that says that. But if you, again, you're looking to be, you should be, you're looking to be accurate, especially, again, if you're attached to a media group. And that's how you build your name, and that's how the media group builds their credibility.
But this is a hypothetical. Because there are no rules and regulations or really laws around polls. No. So what's the standard?
Well, see, I was going through that in my mind. I don't know what, because if she comes out and goes, well, I tossed this entire group of respondents on this one day because it was raining or there was bad weather or they didn't fit my criteria and I changed my criteria along. Who gets to say, well, that's fraud?
Well, but if Fox did an online poll,
mm-hmm.
and an online poll, which is just you do it online,
right?
Which means if it's like who's going to win the election, who's going to win the election, or who are you going to vote for in the election, Trump would have been up 70-30,
right?
Now, so if Fox put out an online poll and everybody jumped on it, because remember the Seltzer poll, there was a lot of criticism of it, too. Nobody really bought into it.
Yeah, everybody was going, wait, what?
But just for the sake of the hypothetical, Fox News does an online poll, which is not you're not going out there and trying to make it demographically correct.
Right.
You really have no tabs, as they call it.
Right.
People just go to your website and say, I'm going to vote for,
anybody
Trump.
with access to your website can answer.
Right.
And they don't have to meet a certain criteria.
Right. So there is no standard or plus or minus, on it at all.
Right.
And let's say the media ran with that, the Trump's up by 40 because it's a Fox News poll.
Right.
Could they be sued for election interference because the media jumped on that poll? Because there are no criteria for polls in the law.
No, there aren't.
That I know of, unless Iowa's different.
I mean, if she took a poll, if they went through the polling process and then came back and it showed that Trump was ahead by 3 points or 9 points, and then she goes in and just changes the results and says, nope, I don't like that. I'm just going to toss all of these respondents out and shape it up to look different. But again, who guides that?
But if you're going to if isn't the victim at that point the Des Moines Register, because they're the ones paying the freight and she gave them a fraudulent poll?
I would think in part, yeah.
But they're part of the
Unless
lawsuit.
there was, any kind of collusion between the two.
Watch, they come out and they start, the Des Moines Register sues her. In order to protect themselves, they sue her.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, we're the victims.
Right. We paid for it.
What are we a part of it?
Right.
I don't know if this one's going to go anywhere. I really don't know if this is going to
I don't know that it goes anywhere.
But if you're going to do it, the reason you do it is to be able to get to the point of getting a deposition and getting her tabs but I did see, what was it, in the National Review Facebook page where people that subscribe to National Review were saying, I thought, because most of them objected to what Trump was doing, saying, I thought you believed in free speech. This isn't a free speech issue.
No.
The government didn't stop the poll.
Right.
I'm amazed at a National Review that nobody picked. Well, maybe somebody did. I read this yesterday afternoon when I saw it. Mm-hmm. But when I'd seen it, nobody picked up on the fact, well, this isn't a freedom of speech issue.
Right.
Trump can sue. He may lose a lawsuit.
Right.
And I don't know if you do this, if you file a civil suit and lose, whether you have to pay attorney fees. But certainly going to court is not a First Amendment issue.
No. And access to the methodology isn't a given.
No, you're right. That's not a
There's no
requirement.
inherent
right
to to have that access. Mitchell promotes the fact that they want to be transparent, and they offer it up. They don't have major sponsors.
Trump's attorneys say that Seltzer had prided herself on a mainstream reputation for accuracy despite several far less publicized egregious polling misses in favor of Democrats, and said she would have the public believe it was merely a coincidence that one of the worst polling misses of her career came just days before the most consequential election in memory was leaked and happened to go against a Republican candidate. None of that is inaccurate. It's all true.
Right.
I don't know legally where your lawsuit is.
Right. Well, because, again, how many pollsters would you go after? Right?
Yeah. I don't know. You're saying fraud, but who's the victim?
Well, look.
The Des Moines Register would be, because they paid for a fraudulent.
Right.
If she was accused, if they said fraud exists here.
Right. Now, she's out of the game. I mean, I guess for now. I don't know if she'll go to work somewhere else, but she's retired, she said. So if it's something like that, a huge miss like that, it made the news that day because it was so off. But, the payoff could be, well, she's not a pollster anymore.
And the Trump lawyers argued left-wing pollsters have attempted to influence electoral outcomes through manipulated polls that have unacceptable error rates and are not grounded in widely accepted polling methodologies. I agree with that.
No, we absolutely agree with that 100%. But lawfully, what can you do about it?
Yeah.
Is the question.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, so there's a lot of open questions of Trump's lawsuit, but I will tell you this: it brings attention to the inaccurate polling that was, that was done there.
Sure,
but the thing is, there was such a backlash to that too.
Well,
there was such a backlash.
It was answered. It's almost like Community Notes really answered it. You know what I mean? When the story hit, everybody was going like, "No, that's not happening."
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.